emotions are running high. Deep down, you can feel that stirring, that deep welling of emotions. You don't know if you want to scream or you want to cry, but something's happening and you've made a decision. You hear the thumping of the beat as Beyonce's Break My Soul starts playing, and you let go and give in to the dance. You sing along with the words. Well, sing might not be the right words. You're shouting, screaming, releasing all of your emotions into the song, into the dance, as you move with the rhythm, only stopping when the emotion gets so strong you feel it pouring out of you, flowing out into the universe and going away. Now, that's not the way I have practiced apocalyptic spirituality. It's not the only way. There are a lot of roads into this and a lot of interesting ways you can find that catharsis and meaning. And we're going to talk about that. So how do you practice apocalyptic spirituality? Let's talk about it as we walk together down CreationsPaths. Hello, everybody. My name is Charlie. I am a Christopagan druid and priest of Bridget.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian. I'm a Christopagan druid and sous chef to the dog. And today, it's the first quarter moon. We're on the journey towards the full moon. It is also the path of the Via Creativa. And this week, we're definitely engaging in creative acts,
which you can find out a lot more about in a post that just came out over on CreationsPaths.com, where this week's moon devotional, dedicated to the first quarter moon of the Via Creativa, is dedicated to this theme. It's actually why we thought about doing it as the theme for the podcast. The more I talked about this with Brian, the more questions he had. And I was like, I bet a lot of people are going to have all of those same questions. Let's just dedicate the time to it and really dig in, because I think that this is an important lost art in a lot of ways. But before we get into all that, if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, whatever the terminology happens to be on whatever app you're listening to us on. We do 5 original Christopagan and Druid episodes Monday through Friday, and you don't want to miss a thing. We got a lot of fun stuff coming up. I know. You know the song and dance. This is one that's a little bit easier to understand. Something resonates in you and makes you feel emotion. That could be playing an instrument, painting, drawing, writing poetry, writing stories, watching movies, TV shows, going to the park, going hiking. That could be going to the aquarium, the zoo. Something resonates strongly with you and gives you sense of emotion just flowing through you. It might make you laugh. It might make you cry. And I don't want you to think that Apocalypse is all about laughing. I think you could have a very valid, crazy wisdom. One of Brian's favorite cathartic movies is Aladdin.
crazy wisdom in it.
And it's the humor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The whole point is to purge the emotions that are causing harm within you. Now, that might mean you need to feel them. And that might mean you need to cancel them out and just push them from your body. You can do that through laughter. You can do that through tears. You can do that through dancing, through physical exercise. You can do that in a lot of different ways. The whole point here is to find the thing that connects to you emotionally. Your cathartic moment could be playing with your pet dog, gerbil, or hermit crab. I see you. What the Wednesdays? But remember, the point of this is to purge the emotions, not to feed them. And this is where the modern evangelical fixation on apocalyptic literature becomes harmful, because what we're not trying to do is get you to wallow. This is not about wallowing. We're here to feel the emotion and purge it, not to just wallow in it.
As part of the purging, I'm wondering if it would help to discuss it from more of a Kabbalistic perspective, because I thought that would help in understanding the doing part of apocalyptic spirituality. When we say purge, initially my thought would be, well, laughter and dopamine can cancel out the cortisol in our body, looking at it on a chemistry, biological perspective. But I think for a deeper understanding, looking at it from that Kabbalistic perspective, when it comes to balancing some of these energies, bringing harmony, and we're not trying to cancel them out or make them neutral. We're trying to bring harmony.
So first, here's the question. I need to do a little preamble. If you're not familiar with the types of Kabbalah that we're talking about here, we're talking about primarily the Hermetic Kabbalah and how it relates to the glyph of the Tree of Light, and how that is used as a shorthand for understanding how to do a lot of different workings both spiritually and personally. There are a lot of good ways into this. If you want a free one and you're okay with the language of a Victorian woman who means well, but often says things that to a modern ear don't sound right, I highly recommend Dion Fortune's Mystical Kabbalah, which you can find free online. You can find it at archive.org and a lot of other places. Many of the early editions of that book are out of copyright, and so that's an easy, free place to find it. Just be mindful. She was active in both the original Golden Dawn and the Theosophical Society, and says things that will
product them in culture.
There could be some triggering language in there because of when she wrote the book. If you would like what I think is the best modern version of the Kabbalah, I highly, highly recommend Infist Book's wonderful Queer Kabbalah by Infist J. Book. This book is not just for people who are queer, but to show the very queerness of the Sifrot as they are understood in Hermetic Kabbalah. Many of the spheres on the tree can be understood as non-binary to gender fluid, and how some of the rigid patriarchal language of male and female really doesn't work. The entire tree and the process of working with it in much the same way that Dion Fortune does, but using much more modern and up-to-date language. It is a really good general introduction to the topic of Hermetic Kabbalah, and I highly recommend that book. I'm going to give an example and try to make this as simple as I possibly can, because I know not everybody in our audience is fluent in the tree, and I'm going to be using the English names for the spheres to simplify things for the audience. Hopefully people that are much more familiar and are like, why are you saying the Hebrew? I'm trying to make this as simple as I can, so it's not too daunting for people that have not engaged in this practice before. On the tree of life, these spheres, which are emanations of divine energy, are clustered in groups of 3.
I was going to say, if you want more, you can go to wisdomscry.com, and there is a section up on the Sephira and more detail on that.
I replicated the tables from Dion Fortune's book up there. You need to know what it means. It's not necessarily a beginner's guide. I have plans on doing that. I actually have an entire book on Hermetic Kabbalah that I want to write, kind of planned out, but I'm not to that part in the process yet. But yeah, you can find that there. One of these triads, which is very often out of whack in people, is between the sphere of loving kindness and the sphere of strength. These are on 2 different pillars. Okay. So one is on the receptive pillar, the pillar of mercy, which is often seen as restrictive, right? And that is the one that receives. And the other is the pillar of severity, and that would be your strength. So loving kindness is on one side. It is receptive. It is giving. It is energy flows in and out, where strength is restrictive. You can find yourself out of balance in one of these 2 areas of your life. And that's where the trauma is. Maybe you were kind to somebody and somebody betrayed you, and that's where the trauma is. That could be a trauma in your sphere of loving kindness. This often brings out of balance the sphere of strength, which means you may go to a place where you are into the idea of hyper policing, or you become extremely legalistic or extremely punitive as a result. Or you go the other way and give up your strength and go, well, everybody's just going to walk all over me. Why should I even care? But this harm to the sphere of loving kindness can cause an imbalance in the sphere of strength. Now, these 2 are harmonized and balanced in the sphere of beauty. You heard me right. Strength and loving kindness harmonize in the sphere of beauty, because strength and loving kindness are aesthetic values. You know it when you see it, right? Saying, well, I had to yell at you because I love you. Well, I could see what happened. And seeing you yelling at somebody does not feel like loving kindness to me. So you balance these 2 by either increasing the activity in the one that's damaged or wounded, finding ways to go out and exercise kindness again, or exercising loving kindness again, or directly in the sphere of beauty. You can find, this is where you find people who have lost their ability to trust and then get a dog. You hear this all the time from people whose first dog they got later in life, or who lived a long time without a dog and went through a trauma and then got a dog again. I learned how to love again through the dog. This is an apocalyptic experience. I'm really trying to expand this word so that you understand how big apocalypse actually is. That relationship with that dog, the beauty of that relationship, the unconditional love, everything else that came from that, opened up and unveiled the world that was hidden behind the curtain, that you are worthy of love, that you can love others. And it opened everything up and gave permission to love again.
So this is what a lot of art therapy would be.
Yes.
As well.
Learning how to sing, play a musical instrument, how to just jam. Get yourself a drum and hit it. Even if you don't have musical talent, get yourself a drum. They're inexpensive. Most drums actually come with a mallet, but you can use your hand and just sit there and hit that drum. Get yourself a tambourine, shake it, spin it, smack it with your hand, make a racket, exercise those demons, let them out. If that is what resonates with you, you might not need to put on Chopin and close your eyes and just listen to this beautiful piano and let it melt out of you. Not all apocalypse is violent. And when you actually read the apocalyptic literature, you see that very clearly. A lot of the apocalyptic literature is revelatory. It's just a moment of, and the breath gets taken away and you're there.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of that goes back to the universe unveiling, opening up and unveiling, that light and presence of God, being able to experience that in that moment.
It doesn't have to be anything serious. I think this is where people get spiritual practice in life all confused and backwards. Silliness, as I've said many times, is a way of the powers that be from taking joy away from people. Silly comes from a word in the Gaelic tongue that means holy, good, joyful. And of course, now it's just silly. Don't be silly. So we get away from the basic Irish racism and Scottish racism that's built into how that word came into being. Just kind of sit with it for a minute and realize that silliness is holiness. You could put on Weird Al Yankovic, put on your favorite comedy and just laugh, guffaw deep down in your soul. Anything that purges emotion and makes it move out of you. That's what you're looking for here. Something that cracks you open and lets the beauty, the basic goodness of the world, the basic rightness of the world, the basic joy of the world suddenly be revealed to you.
So what do I do?
You live your life. Apocalyptic spirituality is really about having that experience and realizing that you carry that experience with you always.
Having a moment, I'm going, what? You mean I don't just journal?
There's nothing wrong with it, but it's about learning to live your life. The basic understanding that all spiritualities at their heart are trying to get people to is to understand that there is an intrinsic, basic goodness to the world. They may call it a lot of different things, but there's a basic goodness, harmony, joy to the world. That could be the Tao, that could be the Dharma, that could be God, that could be any number of words that you can put there.
Sense of aliveness.
The ultimate goal of all spiritualities is to get you to connect to that thing, whatever they want to call it. And once you have that experience, to realize that is available to you 24/7, 365, 366 on leap years.
When time magically changes, it really makes me think of the movie Ratatouille. And, being from that chef perspective, I have both experienced and have witnessed others experiencing that moment, that apocalyptic moment when they taste that food that just opens up and unveils the universe to them. And that's why I look at, Ratatouille is a nice example because people can see
it's a plot point in the movie.
It's a plot point in the movie. The person has a life-changing moment because it opens up and unveils. They have that experience of being alive again. They remember why they became a food critic in the first place. It helps to recontextualize their whole life. And because it's all idealized, it all happens in this one magical moment, but in a way that is how these apocalyptic moments happen in our lives, especially if we're practicing it.
I think it was 6 or 7 years ago. We went to a restaurant in DC and I still have dreams about the chicken and dumpling soup that I had there. It was not my grandmother's chicken soup, but it reminded me of all of the acceptance, love, and warmth that I felt at my grandma Nixon's house. It was home. It was a bite of home. It's what home tastes like. And you remember the look on my face when I took a bite of it for the first time.
Yeah.
I was not impressed when I saw it come to the table. I looked at it and I was like, it's a fancy restaurant by a famous celebrity chef that I was expecting so much from. And this is what you're calling chicken and dumplings? I was very not impressed. And then I took a bite and here I am like 7 years later. And you can hear it. I'm getting lost in the emotion in the thought of the revelation of light that I had in that one bite of food. That is an apocalyptic moment. This was at one of Eric Repair's restaurants. We went to one of Eric Repair's restaurants in DC. I'm stuttering just trying to talk about the flavor of this. We tried a little bit of each other's plates, and I don't remember anything else that was served that day because of just the soul shattering revelation that was that soup. Yeah, you can have an apocalypse in a bowl of soup. You can have it in a lot of different places. Sometimes you don't know. This is where it really takes people off kilter when it happens to you in the wild. It's another reason that we didn't really get to on why this matters is when these happen to you in the wild, you can overly fixate. If I had not been as well versed in understanding what was going on inside of me, oh yes, let's open the church to this bowl of soup. The bowl of soup is God. Like, I have met God, and God is a bowl of soup, right?
Yeah.
I understand the transcendence of the moment, and I'm not opening the temple of that bowl of soup. That's not what's happening here. I would love to have that soup in my life like 24/7. But I had the same experience when a friend of mine found a bouillon powder that we could order that tasted like the ramen of my youth. Instantly back as a child, instantly in that joy and revelation. I remember being so afraid when my mom started working because I've got to take care of myself. I got to take care of my own meals. I was a child. It was very daunting. I picked out at the store 2 kinds of ramen, the chicken ramen, and I'm still looking for something to replicate that shrimp ramen. But those were my 2 favorites. That first time I made it for myself, and I just had this, like, it's going to be okay. And still to say, when we make ramen with that bouillon powder, I get this feeling of it's going to be okay. It's still revelatory, and it's not high-minded. It's not highbrow, right? 2 soups, the tale of 2 soups. Maybe that should be the name of the episode, just to confuse people. Apocalypse, a tale of 2 soups. But you can really find it anywhere. It's about knowing what resonates with you and going to the places where that works. A friend of mine knew that I was having a really hard time lately, and so got me a honeysuckle candle, because when I was a kid, I had a fort that my dad bought, cut off and put under a tree for me to play in, and the honeysuckle grew around it. Anytime I felt scared or needed to have time alone, I would go out to my little fort, and that smell of honeysuckle was all around me. So honeysuckle is comfort for me. And when I opened the tin, I opened the jar, and I smelled that candle, apocalypse, the heavens open.
So it is part of what you're saying with this doing apocalyptic spirituality is also learning not only what resonates with you, but how to employ that to open oneself up to more opportunities of the universe unveiling.
Yes, because it's not just about resonance. There are a lot of things that resonate with me. There are bands that I grew up on that, anytime I hear Bon Jovi, like, it makes me smile because I grew up in the era of Bon Jovi's rise to fame, but I don't have that revelatory experience, right? We're not talking about nostalgia here. That's nostalgia. I might think back to when I was a kid. Anytime I hear the final countdown, I remember me and my friends at the bowling alley when that song would come on from the jukebox, just singing into whatever we could put in our hands, our chicken fingers and corn dogs, and screaming the chorus of that song at the top of our lungs while everybody was like, "Are you going to bowl? We want to go home eventually." What we're talking about here when we're talking about apocalypse is this purging. It's got to resonate so strongly within you in some way, shape, or form that literally the heavens open up. Everybody has one. A favorite song. It could be a book that you read every time you're in troubled places, a home that you go to, a particular meal that you make. Brian makes a brisket that every time I have it, like, there's definitely a God because this brisket exists. It opens me up and it purges all the negativity, all of the bad out. That's the point and purpose of apocalypsis. That could be a movie, a TV show, anything that does that. We're going to show you how to do a meditation over on CreationsPaths.com that will help you kind of have this experience internally. It's about opening yourself up. If you're not opening yourself up, if you're not seeking that unveiling, anything that opens you up and lets you realize that there's more going on and that everything is okay, even when it looks very not okay, it grounds you in that peace and in that understanding. That's apocalyptic, and that's good.
I would love it if anyone felt comfortable sharing their story in the comments, and sharing it with us. I'd love to hear it, even if you want to briefly talk about it. Like, for instance, with mine, it was a gluten-free chicken wing. It could be something that simple. Share it in the comments. Let us know.
If you're listening to us on YouTube, Spotify, or CreationsPaths.com, you can leave a comment right there. If you're listening to us anywhere else, even if they say you can leave a comment, they don't notify us, so we won't know. But you can leave a comment there anyway, because engagement is magic. And then head over to CreationsPaths.com, click on chat, and you can leave a message there, and we will see it, and we will be able to get back to you. While you're there, if you happen to have a few dollars, you can pass our way. We offer monthly and annual memberships. You can also support us on Patreon and Ko-fi. I am CE Dorset on both, and you can support us using the Cash App hashtag CreationsPaths. Thank you to everybody who does that. We are ever so grateful. Thank you so much. You all really do help us keep the lights on, keep a roof over our head, and food on our table. If we've ever said anything that's helped you out, please share it with others. That helps us out more than you know. And as we're heading out today, oh, blessed Ratziel, help us to find those places that ring us like a bell. And when we are done, all that is evil and foul and destructive within us is purged from our system, even if for but a small time, because we know the world likes to press on us and try to push it back in and to remind us, because it likes to keep us in fear and keep us afraid. But we know that that basic goodness and basic joy is always there, as long as we can find a way to break the heavens open and behold it.
Amen.